there's nothing on this planet I hate more than cliffhangers, especially cartoon cliffhangers. And unless you're part of the 1% rare and weird kind of people who don't mind them, then most of you would agree. And this is obviously not a new take, it's an extremely cold take to be honest, if you could call it that. But recently I've been looking for a new show to start watching, and I began to take a trip down memory lane, thinking about some cartoon shows I could maybe rewatch. But the more I thought about them, the more I thought about the unfinished cartoon shows that didn't have a real ending. 3 cartoon shows to be specific, which are Final Space, Inside Job, and Teen Titans. Each show having a different reason as to why they were cancelled, but still sharing a high bar of peak content. And if you've never heard of 1 or 2 of these shows before, or maybe even all of them, then I'll be the first to tell you that you're missing out. In my opinion, all 3 of these shows are funny, entertaining, and very interesting. And although some might be more talked about than others, they all deserve the spotlight. Their unique episodes and stories really integrated themselves in my brain, and like many others, I was always upset by the fact that I could never finish these shows. Cause it's not like, okay, I'm gonna use the Amazing World of Gumball here as an example, but it's not like Gumball's finale, where although it is a cliffhanger, it technically still got its ending with future planned projects ahead. And even though a lot of people, including myself, weren't the biggest fans of the final episode, it's still there. But for these shows, there's not going to be another season or project, or at least not for all of them. Final Space is a cartoon about an astronaut named Gary Goodspeed who goes on many different adventures with a pet like alien named Mooncake and other friends he makes along the way. All are protecting themselves from the monsters of space, the Lord Commander, and an even bigger evil. This show is honestly just great. Throughout the entirety of it, I genuinely never got bored. I thought the backstories and lore were very intriguing and entertaining, and I could not get enough. But a couple of years ago, the show's creator, Olin Rogers, the GOAT by the way, announced that the show had become a tax write-off for the network who owns it, which shocked many fans, leaving them in a state of panic, unknowing what or if anything would come next for the show. But luckily, against all odds, the creator was able to create a graphic novel that will continue the story and give us the ending we have all been waiting for. I actually made a video about this, so go check it out if you want to hear more. Unfortunately though, Inside Job and Teen Titans weren't so lucky, and we are stuck in this phase of uncertainty. Inside Job was released only a couple of years ago, but made a significant impact on the cartoon community for its Rick and Morty like vibes. This show follows a very smart antisocial inventor named Regan Ridley and her job at Cognito Inc., a secret company that controls the US government and is in charge of covering up any conspiracies, leaks, and many more chaotic things. This is also a very dumbed down description of the show, which also applies to the Final Space summary, but I highly encourage you to watch both shows and the next, as it contains many different details, emotions, and indescribable scenes that you just have to experience for yourself. The reason why Inside Job was cancelled though is honestly a mix of different factors. I've heard it was due to profits, viewership, and Netflix favoring Big Mouth over it, which unfortunately doesn't change anything because at the end of the day, the fans were robbed of an opportunity to finish this short but great series. The last cartoon on my mind is the most popular and might not even need an introduction, but for those who may have not heard of it, it's called Teen Titans, a series that follows 5 teenage superheroes fighting different villains all over the city. And when I tell you this show was near perfect, I mean it was near perfect. I love this cartoon. I remember the days when I was a kid and I would just watch the show over and over again, and years later it still holds up. For me personally, this show had everything I could ask for. The characters were great, all having unique personalities that worked well with each other. The episodes were fun and humorous when they needed to be, but never forgot to tone it back to its seriousness. And the lore was just impeccable. From what I know, this show was cancelled due to a decline in viewership and overall disinterest from many different parties, which is pretty sad to say. But despite all the reasons as to why these shows were cancelled, they are still amazing cartoons. Everyone can have their own opinion on any one of these or any other show I didn't mention, but for me, I think these are really good pieces to watch. And I never once thought that just because the show was cancelled, it means it was bad. Well, that'll do it for today. I just kind of wanted to rant about this topic for a few minutes and share some of my recent feelings about it. Thank you so much if you stuck around and watched to the end, or even watched 30 seconds. I really appreciate everyone who clicked on this video. It truly means a lot. And I don't like to beg or anything, but if you could consider clicking the like or subscribe button if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, then I would highly appreciate it, as it really goes a long way for me. YouTube also thinks you might like some of my other videos on screen now, so if any catch your eye, maybe give it a watch or save them for another time. Thank you all, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.